We got a crane in the shop today, and we're hoping we got what it takes to fix the issue. Came into a slight contact with a little boulder. You want your face on here? Run away. So this is what we got. Buddy was up the road and he asked if you come down, we try and fix this issue. You can't tell, something's a little bent. Yeah, trying to maneuver this big rig on a job, I guess, and hit a rock. So I bent the mount for the brake pod, slack adjuster. So we got to take that off, replace, and hopefully straighten out. I got the torch in the truck, so we'll see how this goes. Come on, baby.
A sleever bar, a pry bar, cat bar. What do you call it?
Spry bar.
Pry bar. I'm going to take the maxis off.
Yeah.
Okay.
They moved a little bit. Oh, they're still going. They're trying.
How's that?
I think it went the full distance. We could have kept running this. We're getting full 1.5 inches.
I'll put the maxis back on.
Yeah.
Okay, now just...
Which one?
Well, it's right up on 20, a mile before the 5 Mile house.
So what have you been up to? Same old?
Working more than I want to.
Said that last time, so same old.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The damn fitting hits. Yeah, we're gonna have to get a pair of vice grips on that fitting right there. That one that was rounding over.
Well, you can open that side.
Yeah?
Yeah. You can loosen that ring and just move that ring down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll take this thing, we'll do that out there. So, there was a little damage to the shock mount, but what I mean, that's nothing
That's
terrible.
nothing. I
Yeah.
guess the big thing we want to do is to bend that back.
Yeah, just the... We'll get some heat on that. We'll clean it up a little bit more. Get some of the grease off of it. Man. What year is this rig?
Oh, it's a 92, I think. Maybe 97.
They don't hit these rigs for emissions crap?
Yeah, every year it's a bitch.
Didn't think you drove it that much.
The every year they give me a hassle.
Really?
I think one of these years they're going to say no.
Well, it took a little bit more persuading than we thought, but it's somewhat back in the right area code now. And a straight-ish, it's good enough for who it's for. But then we can't get this fitting out to save our life, so I had to spin the pod off of it rather than, yeah, so yeah, that's fun. Well, we're gonna switch over to the new brake pod, the slack adjuster, and hopefully he can get on out of here tonight. As long as the pod is still usable before we start cutting on it. In line with my finger up there?
Yeah.
How's it look?
Well, I can't see your finger now.
It's like
It looks like it's pointing way off to the right. It looks like it needs to be tweaked.
tweak it some more. Cut into the side of the pod. I don't know why.
No, I heard it. It's cut off.
It's getting serious now.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right, it is now day 2 of working on this crane. We were hoping to just wrap this up yesterday, but we bent it and it was probably in a good spot. And while it was still hot, I was like, you know what, that looks a little bit too far. I'm gonna bend it back. And that was a mistake. So we're back here. We had to clean the tip, so we had to bring some more tools down here. And long end of it, last night, Taylor's whole family is in town tonight, last night, and tomorrow. They're all up camping at the lake. Got the boat, got the tents, got everything set up. She wanted me to rock up there with her, and she stuck around until we pulled the plug or we finished last night. And we took the new 98 truck up there and threw a bed in the back, and both her and I and the dogs, we all slept back there. Sounds all good, except for her dog whined all night, and I didn't get crap for sleep. And this old boy that owns a crane, he's an old time logger, and he's the type of cat that if the plan's to be there at 7:30, he's there at 6:45, you know, just early bird, get her done. And I told him I'll be back in the afternoon, we can work on the crane. He texted me this morning, he's like, hey, did you leave the shop unlocked or a key for me? I'm gonna look at a job and I'm gonna stop by, and I got a couple ideas to work on it. So I couldn't get a hold of my buddy, so I left the lake, and now we're back here to work on this. And we got some fresh Red Bull skis down in the shop because I stopped at McDonald's and their coffee is just crap. So hopefully we get this knocked out. We were so close. We were within like 3/8 of an inch, and it's almost fixed. We should get it fixed. We said a half hour last night. If everything went perfect, it'd be a half hour, but let's go down there and work on this. Sound good. Hey, we got the same truck. Did you get yours at Tractor Supply also? About the same size. Well, test run. He's gonna think I got the brakes adjusted good. Might need a touch more. Stopped it. Stopped it. Yeah. It's this one, these two over here seemed a little bit slower than the right two. So those are a little bit out, yeah. All right, so what we came up with, because we didn't have to move it too much more, we just ended up getting a big old cheater pipe and just tweaking it ever so slightly, and we were pretty happy. The gap is pretty even around the shaft for the pod, and it's got a new slack adjuster, and you can't back it off, so I over tensioned it or over adjusted it, and that was a pain. But yeah, so we got that sorted out. Everything seems to be straight, thankfully. You kind of like it? You kind of like it, Jim?
So far.
You going?
Okay, apply the brake. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm happy.
You like that?
Put on the maxi.
Doesn't look like too many speeds in this thing. Smells like cigars in there. You been smoking cigars?
No, I don't smoke.
Well, he said he liked how it looked. Thankfully, holy crap. Yeah. It's kind of nice having a crane that can just jack itself up. Or jack itself off, whatever. Oh yeah, I forgot about the can. That Bartle's gone.
Remember, put your toe underneath
How much does this thing weigh?
50,000 pounds.
50,000. Well, not bad. I did a Red Bull on the other side. "14-foot ceiling," or 14-foot door. When I read the ad to buy this place, it said it had a 14-foot door. Yeah, I was stoked, because anything over 14 feet you're not supposed to have on the road without a permit, or else you're liable for any damages to the lines and stuff. And so like a crane like this, it's not over 14 feet tall. Andy's logging truck, it's not over 14 feet tall, so it all fits underneath that door. That's a big bird right there. Kind of his hobby rig, really. He was trying to get me to buy it. I was like, I'm sure someone will buy it, and then he said, I don't want to sell it, whatever. But when people ask why I don't put a lift in here, that's the reason, because like I could maybe put one over there sideways, but then it would eat up a spot for basically, I could fit 2 trucks right there if I wanted to. And this place, 40 by 40 is too small for having a lift. If you expect to get something like that, I didn't hear it at all. I wanted to film him driving out the driveway and bouncing out of here, but I thought my phone was magnetized to his truck, so I got a little magnet back there. So I was in a panic trying to find that. I left it at the house. So I just there's not a lot of explaining during that. Some people were complaining I was doing too much talking rather than working, but I felt like I should explain what I'm working on as I'm working on it, brief intermissions. But in this case, I didn't even listen to those people. We were just trying to get it done, because I wanted to finish that sucker last night, and a little bit more tweaking when we could have had it, but this morning it worked out probably the best that it could have. Everything lined up, and so I'm gonna do a little explaining right now. So this is an uncaged brake right here. This is your maxi. How it works is that would be pushing down as it sits. There's a big spring in there, and without air pressure in there, it's pushing down on your slack adjuster. Then your S-cam is rotating and spreading your brakes in the brake drum. And so that's your parking brake. No air applied, and your parking brake is completely freaking locked up. So when you apply air to it, it releases the brake. So it's kind of, you know, it makes complete sense if you think about it, but it's kind of funny to think when you hit the brake pedal, it's releasing air out of this so that that big spring can overpower and start doing some braking. And these things are completely freaking dangerous. If what you do is you stick a bolt in the back and you can tighten it up and cage the brake pod, or you can apply pressure to it and cage it. And then the thing is, you know, the big bolt in this hole grabs inside there, and it keeps it from being so dangerous, but they're still very dangerous. Like if you throw that thing, you're kind of an idiot. But we had to take this one apart on the soft side because there's just this little spring for the diaphragm, because one of the bolts was in the way for taking the fitting out, one of the clamps. So that's why that one's apart. And then I wanted to explain a little bit more, because I cut this because the slack adjuster was damaged, so I couldn't actually take it off of the end of this. This is a piece of all thread on the end of it. They come like a foot long on top of this. You know, whatever kind of a rig you got, you know, your brake pod is not in the same location every time, and so this one only needed to stick out X amount. And that's what you know, like I said before, I did go to, you know, diesel school. I went to Wyotech and I spent 3 months in my advanced diesel, which was like an elective course, a $10,000 elective course. In 3 months you just tear apart a truck. It's so much easier to tear apart a truck that when you order something, it is the same part that goes straight back on there. So your brake pod's the same, your slack adjuster is the same, everything goes back on there is relatively the same, and it's not broken stuff you're taking off there, something that a rock didn't hit. But in this case, the real world stuff is so much different than what they try to teach you in school. So they can only show you the gist of everything in school, and sometimes you just got to cut some stuff. And my whole point being is it's a different slack adjuster, so it measures out different. We had to have a different spot for the pod to sit, and then a different length. So I just kind of, you know, before you just take your old, if you were replacing this pod, you just take it off and you measure whatever the rod's sticking out, and you do the same, put it back in there. And since this slack adjuster is a little bit different, I just left it a little bit long in case I had a little issue, and it's adjustable on the all thread. So if you want to fix it, you know, you got a little like 3/4 inch that you can wiggle just on that, and the slack adjuster does quite a bit of moving on its own anyway. And those are auto slacks. They adjust your brakes as you're going, so theoretically you're not supposed to need to check them, but you always should. That's part of your pre-trip. You adjust your brakes. But the BS part about it, like Andy with his log truck, everybody's got a different technique about it. You're supposed to either measure how much the shaft comes in and out, and or you tighten it until you tap on the brake drum and it goes tink, 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 and you tighten it until it goes thud, thud. That means the brakes are tight, and then you back it off just a touch. But those slack adjusters that we just replaced that one with, it wouldn't back up at all, so I just had to tinker with it a little bit. It wouldn't back up, so I take it off, skip a tooth on the S-cam, and yeah. So anyway, if that made any sense to anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, and it turned into sense, awesome. But you gotta be real careful with those maxis, because those, yeah, that's a mean spring in there. That's enough to lock up a big rig's tires. Oh, yeah. But anyway, that guy that owns a crane, he's known him for quite a while. It's kind of cool to be respected by somebody like that. It makes me feel a lot better, despite any of the small amounts of hate I get on here. That somebody like him shows respect for me is so much nicer. To think that there's actually people I respect that show me respect in return. And most of you guys do an awesome job at showing respect and appreciation for me in these videos. And at the end of the day, I'm making them for fun, and I'm glad that people are enjoying them. All the effort that I put into them. This one's a little less effort, a little bit more talking here at the end. I'm gonna either go look at some jobs, or I'm gonna go back up to the lake and do some wakeboarding. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit them buttons, like, comment, and subscribe. And for everybody that was all the questions about why I don't get a lift, everybody thinks a lift is so easy to get, and quite frankly, I don't have a lot of time just to install the lift, and they're a little bit expensive, you know, for lifting a, you know, 6,000 to 10,000 pound truck. I mean, those weigh like 6,500, but the other trucks, they weigh quite a bit more and less, and it just eat up too much space in here, and I want this to be able to, because he could have backed all the way up in here. He probably could have almost fit the crane inside the shop, and if I had a lift in here, there's no way that was going to happen. So someday, maybe like somebody recommended, get a little lean-to on the side and put a lift over there. I would definitely like to have a lean-to over here. There's actually a slab and a footing around this little building. I don't know what they had in there, but I kind of want to delete that in the blocks and put a lean-to, at least to park my trucks underneath, just to keep them out of the sun. But if anybody's still watching, comment below the idea of a G56 and the 98. Anyway, later.